welcome to ask. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you haven't already, it really helps. Thanks.
Yes, mostly. I certainly trust science more than I trust corporations. And I trust climate science for the most part.
I mean, yeah, of course. There's just so much research behind it. There's constantly new studies coming out. The people who are researching this, they're there and witnessing it.
Yes, because I've debated many people who don't, and to me the arguments don't make any sense. I think it's like a lot of conspiracy theories. It doesn't really add up for me that so many people would be in league to deceive the general public on an issue where they don't stand to benefit. And so it just doesn't make it through my logic processing ability.
The capitalist system would be the clearest culprit here, because the economy that we have right now is based upon borrowing money from the future, borrowing stuff from the future, not stewarding it well, and leaving it in absolute rack and ruin. So one issue that I do have with climate change is what it's called, because it's really an environmental catastrophe that's unrolling before our very eyes, where we're taking every element of the living system of this planet and basically having a fire sale of it so corporations can make a lot of money.
I would say the corporations. With the individual, there's so many people out there who realize that what is happening is wrong, and they're trying their best to limit, their carbon footprint. The corporations know what's happening, but they put the profit over the environment and the people.
So I spend a lot of time thinking about this, and I think I've made a lot of progress, but I think that the more I think about it, the more I realize that to get to the root of these issues, it gets incredibly complicated, and we have to go way back in time, and we get into like fundamental human challenges. And so I definitely put the responsibility on everyone. I think that it's too easy to say, oh, we don't have any power as individuals, it's corporations that have all the power, and absolutely they have way too much power. But I think it's a valid argument to say corporations just make the things that we buy, and there are viable alternatives. I personally am really interested in relocalization, in trying to help people in Eugene to create more self-sufficient systems so that we can disconnect from the global machine. So I do see that sort of our individual habits have evolved along with the creation of giant corporations that now have too much power. And so I put responsibility on individuals, I would say even more than on corporations, to change, because to a large extent I don't think there is a sustainable or ethical way to maintain the lifestyle that we have today in so many ways. There's not an environmentally sustainable way to make a lot of the things that define the modern lifestyle. So I think it's on individuals to find a simpler, more local, kinder way to live. But of course it's not that simple, because corporations today do have way too much power. So it's a complicated situation, but I am happy to take on lots of responsibility as an individual to try to imagine a different future and make it happen.
Do I think the media covers this issue well? No, I think the media does a terrible job with this issue. The living systems of the planet are falling apart, and it might make page 13 of the New York Times once a week, and it's just dribs and drabs and very little in the way of looking at it systematically or holistically or in any kind of big picture sense. So no, the media does a crappy job at this.
I think it depends on which media. There's obviously going to be biased in more right-wing media. I think in the way that it's described sometimes, it could be a little more, I don't know, downplayed, definitely. There could be some fear-mongering depending on, the person describing it.
Not enough. I think we still have a culture and an economy based around infinite growth. And so the media still kind of aligns with that narrative and that mindset. And so it kind of can't cover climate change in a way that takes into account how responsible we all are and how big the changes are that we need to make in terms of actually creating a sustainable future. So absolutely not. Yeah, I think the context that I see natural disasters in still is just, we need to rebuild things exactly the same way that we've been doing them. And I'm not sure exactly what it's going to take to really start an earnest conversation about changing our material reality, our lifestyle, in a way that will make it possible to keep living on this planet sustainably.
Everybody needs to change. Individuals need to change up to a point, but individuals have very little impact in the big picture. So I would say the entire economic system needs to change. The social system needs to change, where we as humans start to look at ourselves as part of a network of living systems of the planet, and not just in terms of like, sure, I mean, I recycle because I would feel terrible not recycling. Do I think recycling has a major impact? No, it's the stuff that corporations do. It's drilling in the Arctic. It's leaving oil all over the living system of the Gulf of Mexico, as I've seen not too long ago, when millions and millions of gallons of oil were seeping, and then the oil companies came in and just put these dispersants in so that it went through the entire water column, and then there was a huge cover-up of all the marine life dying, and it's just so deep and so pervasive and so systemic that it's very disturbing.
I would say government. There are elected officials. They should be listening to us, the people. There's plenty of people saying what needs to be done, but it's not happening. It needs to be written into law and upheld by the government.
Yeah, I used to blame people in power much more than I do now. In getting to know more people who are in government, people who are running businesses, people in positions of power, everyone is kind of just playing a role. And we're all functioning within a system together. Even CEOs and people who run giant corporations don't actually have a ton of power to change those corporations. It's an entire system that needs to change, and as far as I can tell, the best hope is that it will change with individuals. And what I really believe in is just trying to disregard this global system that has emerged, that is sort of a sociopathic system that is growth obsessed and totally disregards the environment and ethics as much as possible. So I don't blame corporations as much as most people, because I see them filling a role that our entire economy is asking to be filled, given the current mindset of individuals. And my best hope is that we will start to see how hollow the modern lifestyle is and start yearning for real, genuine community again, and start building that, and in the process start providing more of what we need locally.
No. I wish I could say yes, but it's not looking good right now. if you take things on a planetary scale, almost a geologic scale, if we survive the next 200 or 300 years as a species, if we survive the next couple of centuries in one way or another as humans, then I think we have a good chance. Sadly, I think there'll be a collapse of all of our economic systems, and there's going to be a lot of pain involved with that. I wish it were not true. I'm not hoping for this, but I think at this point, a collapse is probably the only thing that's going to get us on the right trajectory. And if we go back to the founding of agriculture and so-called Western civilization, as Gandhi said, that would be a great idea, Western civilization. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If we go back 10,000 years and say that we've been messing things up for 10,000 years, then I would say a good estimate of how long it's going to take to fix 20,000 years. So when you start thinking on that time scale, it's scary, but there's also something a little bit hopeful about that. Because someone will, one hopes, enjoy the bounty of this planet and a reasonable climate again. But it's going to be many generations from now.
I want to say I do, but honestly, in my heart, I feel that at this point, not enough has been done, and the people who are in charge of it, or of the government, just are not doing enough. There are steps being made overall, but I believe that there will be irreversible effects on our climate that just will never be the same.
Yeah, I have no idea. I am fiercely committed to having hope and continuing to act as if it is possible for humanity to make a seismic shift. I certainly think that it's possible, and I kind of hold on to that. You know, I know that we can, and I see it all the time in the people that I meet, and in the desire that I see for a different way of life, and in obviously the capability of people to change. Sometimes I think how ironic it is that it feels so impossible to create a simpler world when we've managed to create such a complex and really impressive world in so many ways. The most severe effects of climate change, I mean, theoretically could be to wipe out all of the human race and take a lot of other species with us, and we're already doing that. So, you know, it's going to be really rough. It is really rough. But I really think that humans are fundamentally good. And we're kind of really squashed by a global system right now. And luckily, I think the answer is to take our lifestyle into our own hands and start providing for ourselves and try to disconnect from the global machine that we rely on right now. And sometimes it feels really achievable and kind of simple, actually, and beautiful too. And I do think that it will happen. Whether it will happen before or after some really catastrophic events, I don't know.
Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment and share to help be part of a larger conversation. See you again soon. Bye.